Chapter 3. Disintegration is a phenomenon in which the blue mist flowing from the gate contaminates the surroundings. Areas contaminated by the magical power of the other world become a good environment for demons to live in. If the area beyond the gate is called a dungeon, the area around the gate that was contaminated is called a field-type dungeon. First of all, this polluted place was like a dungeon, and considering that the Korea University Museum of Art was like a land of death, I guess that student, the hunter, couldn't say it, but anyone could tell what he was trying to say. On the other hand, Soho, your level increased. Is it that thing? Something unbelievable happened. Letters floating in the air. The level up notice he only saw in his dreams a long time ago appeared in reality. Geez, is this a dream again? Number. This is definitely not a dream this time. The vivid sense of reality passing through his skin was proving that fact. In addition, the moment the level up message appeared, the accumulated fatigue he felt had disappeared completely. Even the minor burns caused by the mist burns were all healed. But, what is this? Secret quest. Courage of the powerless has been accomplished. There are unread messages. The level up notice he saw in his dreams was only that and nothing else. There was an authentic feeling in it. When Soho looked at the message box opened automatically. There are 2 unread messages. Welcome to being a player in real life, unchecked. The quest has transpired, unchecked. Real life player? He checked the first message first. Secret quest. Courage of the powerless. You have demonstrated your qualifications by gaining experience while non-awakened. You have now leveled up from level 0 to level 1. And can now check the status window. Information. This system supports the growth of the player. This time it's not tutorial mode. Please note that in reality you only have 1 life. Tutorial mode? Was it perhaps my dream? Soho realized instinctively, all the dreams he had in his teens were practice games, and now he's going to play for real. Just like a game, some features that were not available in tutorial mode are now added. For instance, the status window. Status window. Name, Sung Soho. Level, 1. Occupation, none. Title, none. HP, 100 100ths. MP, 10 tenths. Stats. Muscle strength, 10. Body strength, 10. Agility, 10. Intellect, 10. Senses, 10. Divisive ability point, 0. Skills. Passive skill, none. Active skill, ruler power LV.1. Information on Soho was briefly displayed on the status window. Just like a game, Soho immediately checked the next message as well. Quest. Rescue the victims. There are people waiting to be rescued nearby. Rescue as many of them as possible. The reward depends on the number of people rescued. Current number of survivors, 52. Current number of rescued victims, 0. The second was the quest window. This quest window was also a feature that he had never seen in his dream. The reward varies depending on the number rescued. It was like a real game, except that this is a stark reality. Even at this moment, people are still dying in real life. Current number of survivors, 5251. Current number of survivors, 5150. Soho suddenly came to his senses when he saw this notice board. Right then, oops. He must have been too preoccupied with the status window. A mist burn, which came close to him, started attacking you. Soho just swung his arm everywhere. Smack. Something incredible happened. A mist burn, who had been hit by Soho's fist, bounced back in agony. Huh? Soho looked at his hand and was even more appalled. He hit the blazing blue smoke with bare hands, but it wasn't even hot. Another mist burn attacked from behind. The debut release occurred at 10 of bin. Soho immediately threw a fist without hesitation. Smack. It was the same this time too. Mist burn helplessly bounced backward at Soho's normal punch. At this point, the mist burn was also taken aback. Soho is obviously a person who doesn't look like much, but it hurts when he hits. However, Mistburn is a creature driven solely by instinct. As the Mistburn screamed, more of its kind around the area rushed towards Soho. However, Soho was not shaken in the slightest by the menacing sight. because he realized that the moment they pose no threat to him is the time for him to strike back. Thud. Soho charged forward immediately. Smack. Thud. Q-hack. There's a completely different thing from usual games. The tank originally receives the monster's attack and blocks the front line, while the damage dealer will carry out the strategy while attacking. However, Soho ignored all that and just swung his fist toward the monsters. Still, the effect was certain. You have killed a mist bairn. You have killed a mist bairn. You have killed a mist bairn. Soho kept moving, defeating them one by one. Current number of survivors, 7-6. In the meantime, the number of survivors continued to decrease. This means that the number of mist buns increased. The higher their numbers, the faster people will die. He must hurry. Soho scoured the museum for survivors. Get out of here. He searched all corners of the art museum and sent them out. Current number of rescued victims, 12. What? How are these people escaping? The hunters outside the museum were shocked. They were just checking the equipment before going in, but people kept coming out one by one. Someone saved me. A student inside helped me. The hunters who heard them were even more surprised. Who could be fighting the monsters inside? Is another hunter already in there? Hearing this, Professor Lim shook his head. There's no way. Not only that there are no hunters among the students, but the other hunters haven't arrived yet. Daehyun, who was listening next to him, said in a helpful voice. Could it be Soho? Soho? Assistant Lim and the hunters, doubtful at those words, exchanged glances with each other. The odds of an ordinary person surviving in a field-type dungeon were extremely rare. But, they couldn't bear to tell Daehyun that his friend could be dead. However, one of those who just escaped knew Soho. That's right. Senior Soho saved us. What? Soho? How on earth? He's beating up the monsters with a bare fist. Bare fist? The words made the hunters feel sorry. Those people must have seen it incorrectly out of fear. Fighting Mistburn with bare fists was too risky. His hands would burn. It's a suicide move. Unless you are a hunter who can cover your fists with magic, at least you must protect your hands with a gauntlet to avoid getting burned. It almost sounded certain that a student named Soho was alive and saving people. The hunters murmured with serious expressions. Maybe that student has awakened. Soho awakened? Professor Lim turned his gaze towards the museum. Even at that moment, victims rescued by Soho were still coming out. The hunters murmured with serious expressions. Team leader, we're done measuring the mana. It seems to be a D-class dungeon. Alright. We must hurry. Knowing that it was a D-class dungeon, the hunters felt more determined. If it were a D-class dungeon, there would be monsters much stronger than Mistburn. Even if Soho, a student, had just awakened, no one could guarantee how long a beginner with no dungeon experience could hold out in there. Ting, you have killed a Mistburn. After clearing all visible Mistburns, Soho let out a deep breath. Almost done. He was so exhausted he wanted to lie down, but his mind was empty. Ring. Your level increased. Soho's whole body was wrapped in transparent light, and energy surged into his body. I'll be able to continue with this much. The moment Soho tries to find the remaining people and move forward, bang. Suddenly, the ceiling exploded. Piles of stones scattered in all directions, along with a huge amount of dust. Soho was startled and rolled on the floor, but he couldn't avoid it. Red blood flowed from his forehead where his previous wounds had just healed when he got into level 2. But that wasn't the problem. A giant wolf descended from a hole in the ceiling. Growl. Thud. As soon as Soho saw that enormous thing, he stood up. I can never win against this, he thought while looking at it. A survival instinct that all living things possess. He felt an instinctive fear that was different from Mistburn. Grrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr nowhere to run. A tremendous sense of intimidation oppressed Soho. KKK. Soho clenched his teeth. I had no intention of coming this far only to be weighed down by fear. I'll just do whatever I can. If I can't escape, I'll attack first. Thud. Soho took a rock he could get his hands on and threw it at the opponent. However, the giant wolf raised its front foot and shook off the attack as if it were so ridiculous. Now, Soho jumped towards it quickly. Then he swung the fist that had killed dozens of mist bairns. It wasn't enough. growl, crash. The giant wolf bit Soho on the shoulder. Soho clenched his teeth and hit the wolf on the head with his body bitten. That was also insufficient. Black. In the end, Soho was thrown to the ground. His body was pressed down by the giant wolf's front paws. It was a losing fight to begin with. Knowing that the wolf enjoyed the victory as if it were only natural. Just as the wolf's ferocious teeth were about to bite Soho's neck, it was then a miracle happened. Kick, swoosh. From a distant universe, suddenly, a black bolt of lightning struck vertically from the sky above. Grumble. Dot. The ceiling exploded and a space between the giant wolf and Soho separated them apart. As the dust cleared, the Ant King appeared with its whole body covered with black haze. BULV, Max. Martial class. Baru was looking down at Soho, holding down the wolf's mouth with one hand.